You're most welcome to put them.
Jai Shri Gurudev. We have come to the end of session. Again, I have been announcing if there are any queries based upon the talks which are delivered for last 4-5 hours. Still, there is a chance for you all. You can pose the questions to any speaker. Even Ricky also can be asked.
I have a question of the chair. I am Waku Miller here for the Nikkei in Japan. Could you please describe briefly your hopes and expectations of this symposium? What do you hope will come out of this as a result?
Yesterday when convention was started, we have started with Yajurveda shloka, that is Dyavuh Shantihi, Antarikshagam Shantihi, Prithvi Shantihi, Apaha Shantihi, that is in Sanskrit, I will come back again. Oshadeha Shantihi, Vanaspateha Shantihi, Vishvedevaha Shantihi, Brahma Shantihi, Sarva Shantihi, Shantireva Shantihi. With this Yajurveda mantra we are started. With this we are going to conclude. The prime motto of this congregation is to understand the peace. Before the peace be established or be realized in the external mundane world, it is each and everyone's duty to find the peace in oneself. Quite long ago, Albert Einstein had mentioned, there are two kinds of personalities of the minds in each and every being. Albert Einstein. One is rational mind, second one is the intuitive mind. Rational mind is something like a humble servant. Intuitive mind is like a sacred gift. He says, unfortunate thing is in the society that humble servant, that is a rational minded people, are being respected, and sacred gift, that is intuitive minded people, are being neglected. What we can achieve through this congregation is, if we can able to bring a kind of synthesis between rational mind and the intuitive mind, certainly peace is going to be bestowed. Our previous President of India, Dr. Kalam, who happened to be a scientist, great scientist, and was known as a missile man and Bharat Ratna, he was teaching and he was making all our children in our country to recite. Ultimate aim is to have the peace, as I have mentioned. Before acquiring the peace and be bestowed in at individual level and at universal level, he has given 3-4 dimensions. Where there is a righteousness, there will be a beauty in the character. If there is a beauty in the character, there will be a harmony in the home. If there is a harmony, there will be order in the society. where there is order, ultimately we can see the peace in the world, in one's own being, and in everywhere. I wish this kind of dialogues in the congregation, if happens more and more, right understanding, which is missing because of the lack of communication, is going to be prevailed. I am sure such a thing is going to happen. I can say boldly, darely, that right understanding will bring people together, with which world is going to be peaceful.
Yeah, I'm calling Mr. Niratna. Actually, this is to Ricky. I was quite impressed with what you showed just now, because what I saw was you have done very contemporary pieces, even using the MTV style of formatting. But your music had a very traditional flavor with a very contemporary presentation of it, because a lot of people in Asia just copy R&B and rap and all that. Now, how can you take this to the young people? Because we need to do it through including it in curriculum. In high school, in universities, this type of music needs to be, we have to make curriculums, put these ideas into it, and make it popular because you can't just do it through the media. It has to go through the education system. Have you thought about it, or have anybody else offered or given you any ideas how to, because India would be a good country to start this movement?
There have been a lot of efforts in that direction, lots and lots of efforts, in fact, and you'll hear a couple of announcements, that this year I think we are going to see a lot of these efforts see fruition. Talking about my music, which is, you said that it's from the MTV generation, yet it has the soul of India, that's exactly who I am actually as a person, because my music is a reflection of my personality and my beliefs. The problem with music in India, and sorry to digress a little bit, the problem with music in India is that, and in fact most parts of the world, is that musicians are always waiting for people to pay them money to make music, and they are making music based on current trends. Now if you look at an artist, like a fine artist, like a Picasso or somebody like that, a fine artist would not go to 10, 11 art galleries and see what everybody is doing and then, and say that, okay, let me also do something like that. Because music needs to be an extension of your beliefs. It needs to be an extension of your personality. And that's the reason why I do not do commercial music. I only do music which comes from the heart. And my heart feels for the planet, and it feels for environmental consciousness. And that's why all my music is about that. Now, when it comes to educational programs in schools, yes, we are starting that. We're going to be starting a whole lot of curriculums, and we're going to be starting a whole lot of ideas in association with various organizations, and that hopefully will see its fruition end of this year and early next year.
Thank you very much, Chairman. It may be my silly question, because the dialogue in this room is very interesting, and also for the peace, harmony, and security. But at the time of our conference, there are a lot of fighting in the world, in other part of the world there. So how can we produce, or how can we inform those people who are fighting in other part of the world from this peace conference and dialogue? This is my first question, Pandi. And the second question is for the security. Security, as my venerable Sirigu Siado has taught before, for the security of the nation there. So in the time of the Vizali, with Ali, that city has not been destroyed by the other enemies. Because Seattle has taught that, because everybody is, they have all the 5 precepts, and they abstain from killing and everything and stealing. And then also they respect to the elders, and also they respect to the teaching of the elders, and also they pay homage to the traditional culture. So these are the, some of the points that our Venerable Sri Gusiara has taught to us for the security of the nation. Once it has been destroyed, or once it has been by the rumors and gossips in this city, then the Vedali has been destroyed by the enemies. So our security, it depends upon every individual. But just I want to know that who is going to be the responsibility to inform these information through the leaders, or through the spiritual leaders, or the administrative leaders. So, Bande, if you can explain to my contribution of my discussion as well.
May I request Gurumurti ji, as he has gone in depth into the subject and well versed in that, to answer the query.
All of us understand that conflict and human beings are born together. In that there is no doubt. But thoughts which legitimize the conflict is the most important thing. That when we fight with each other, it may be personal fight or group fight. But there are thought systems which say the fight is right. In fact, you are born to fight. And you are born to fight for this purpose, and so is your enemy. This is the conflict which I think is what we should focus on. We cannot focus on all kinds of conflicts because there is a law and order problem. The police can handle, law can handle. But the kind of conflict which we are trying to handle is not the ordinary conflict. It is the conflict which are promoted, expounded, sustained, legitimized, rationalized in the name of philosophy and religion. This is beyond the capacity of governments to handle this. So how to avoid this conflict? This conflict can be avoided only by dialogue. This is what I tried to mention yesterday, that in a dialogue everybody takes a particular position. But when it is being discussed, for example, I happened to have a very small, very brief 2-minute interaction with the religious scholars. They asked me to speak. I said, you want to get into the conflicts resolution or conflict avoidance? I said that in branding others as my enemy, as the enemy of our religion or philosophy, or people who are bad and not wanted, dirty, this is where the legitimization of conflict lies. So I told them, you are all great religious leaders, I am nobody. But I can ask you to do one thing, that the Hindus must stop calling others as mlechas. The Hindus have a tendency to call somebody a mlecha, outcast or unwanted or dirty, whatever you call it. You must remove it from the philosophic, scriptural dictionary of Hindus. The Muslims must remove kafir from their dictionary. Kafir means enemy of the religion. Kafir. Kufr, kafir, whatever. Idol worshippers are also included in it. In fact, Muslims who are not following Muslim customs is the worst kind of kafir. Third thing is heathen. The Christians say the non-believing persons who do not believe in Christianity are heathens. According to me, these three, and of course this communism transformed into class enemy. So class enemy concept is gone now. Communism is gone, so that class enemy concept is gone. So these three words must be removed from the dictionary of religions. This will reduce the conflicts by 90% according to me. So legitimization of conflicts by theories, by philosophies, by branding, by identifying and weaponizing it, legitimizing it, is saying that is somebody mentioned yesterday, they are all very worried about the situation in India. They don't seem to be worried about the situation in Pakistan. India is perfectly all right. We are managing 1.3 billion population fairly well. According to the UN statistics, we have the lowest rate of crimes in the world. And for 6,68,000 villages and towns, we have only 12,800 police stations. We are not managed by police stations. It is not the courts and governments and the laws which manage India. It is the traditions, the value system, respect for elders, parents, teachers. These are all the values which are institutionalized. And we are trusting more politicians and governments and think tanks. Please do not trust think tanks and intellectuals. We want to trust you religious people. It is the religious people who have something, they value something above themselves. No scholar values anything above himself. He values only his career. So my appeal is the religious teachers must come together to discuss. And as a Hindu, I will ask the Muslim scholars, please tell me, am I a kafir, what will you do with me? I will ask a Christian, am I a heathen, what will you do with me? And somebody, the Muslims in India, many of them are classified as mlecha. The Muslim can ask the Hindus, what will you do with me? I am a mlecha. This will touch the heart of the people. What are we doing? Somewhere it will make me believe what I am doing is wrong. You may not admit it. Once you begin to feel you are doing a wrong thing, the effect of that wrong will go down. This is the kind of conflict we are dealing with. We are not dealing with all kinds of street conflicts. Second question is whether we are capable of achieving what we are doing, what we are intending. See, everything starts with only a few enlightened people coming together. And this is how the Samvad was started in 2015. And the two prime ministers have put trust in this work. You see, they are, one belongs to a very developed country, another belongs to a very highly democratic and a highly rising country. But both of them have put trust in the religious and spiritual people here to bring about solutions. So my feeling is, Samvad is a great initiative where things will be discussed very plainly. We will not be just praising each other, that you are good, I am good, he is good, X is good. No. What is your problem with me? What is my problem with you? Let us discuss it openly. This is Samvad. I think we have laid the basic seed for this thought.
My question is to Barbara. You briefly touched upon, because of the time limitation, you briefly touched upon vegetarianism, and you talked about meat, and of course, all of us know that the meat industry is right now the most polluting industry and the #1 cause for climate change. So what is the advice that you would like to give to a diverse country like India and Myanmar too, about how to change habits and how to change eating styles in order to save the planet? And yeah, basically that.
Well, I would advise them, I think, to do what happened to me. When I was a biology student, I earned money by looking after research animals. They weren't harmed, they lived in big enclosures for behavioral observations. And in order to look after them, part of that was every Wednesday of the week I would go to the chicken farms and collect chicken heads after the slaughter. And every Friday for 5 years I would go to the abattoir to collect meat for the wolves that I lived with and for the foxes to feed them. I know what it's like. I've seen and smelled the fear. I have seen the brutalization of the people who work in these places. And at some point, and that was long before I was a Buddhist, at some point, my conscience said, I no longer want to be a part of this. Now, I was born in Germany. Germany is perhaps one of the biggest meat-eating countries in the world. Schnitzels, sausages, bratwurst, you name it. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I was raised Christian. So I'm the worst kind of heathen. I've abandoned I've abandoned Christianity and defected to Buddhism. And I'm always thinking, if a German meat-munching Christian can become an almost vegan Buddhist and experience the happiness it brings to learn to work with your mind, to practice kindness in everything you do, then I would invite you to give it a try. You can give it a go for a week, for a month, make a commitment to go meat-free for a month, see if you like it. Because the benefits for you and for others, as I've explained, would be enormous. And if I can do it, believe me, anyone can. So I'm really inviting you to just give it a go. Maybe eat it not, half the week. Cut it down and see, particularly in India and in Southeast Asia, there are such wonderful vegetarian meals that you can have. You don't need it. I don't miss it anymore. And in the moments when I'm weak, when I'm going into the supermarket and I see particularly ham and smoked salmon, I loved it. I recall these images, similar images to the ones I have shown you earlier, of where it comes from, and my appetite goes for it. So I'm trying to live wisdom and compassion, and it makes me a happier person. And I wish that for everybody. I wish I could just take that happiness and give it to everybody to share in it. But it's so easy, and I've come to it so late in life. So I'm blessed to have found this way. And like you, I'm in love with, with Mother Nature and all its children, and I think that coexistence is possible.
I really appreciate the senior professor. He answered the question from the my Myanmar person. So I would like to know, so according to his answer, there's some 3 sentences from the 3 major religions should be wiped out because of the modern point of view. So what about the Buddhism? I want to know about what sentences or what sentence should be wiped out. So who can answer this question from the other point of the religions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We use the word deity for the non-Buddhist. Deity.
My question is a general question for all speakers. The speakers here in the conference, they discussed about peace, harmony, and security. They discussed about it. They to get it through mutual understandings. But of course, the religious leader who are sitting here in this room, they already have mutual understanding, so they can sit here together. But the conflicts always happened among the people, the grassroots, who have no education. So what is your plan for those people? What are you going to do after the meeting, after the conference?
Sir, we are understanding that there are conflicts and conflicts, but we are trying to deal with conflicts which are organized around a philosophy. We are not dealing with all kinds of conflicts. So we must understand that. There are law and order problems. There are skirmishes between communities and families and within villages. You know, these are all tacklable things. Police can handle. Law can handle. Courts can handle. But the kind of conflicts we are dealing with is beyond the capacity of even states to handle, because they are global level conflicts. They are centered around a philosophy or a religious ideology. And so, unless we have clarity on this subject, how to handle this conflict on the ground, we will never know. So, one thing which we are proposing is, it is not my formulation. This is the formulation of a theologian of the Roman Catholic Church by name Hans Kunz. He was one of the well-known theologians who was involved in the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s. He evolved it, part of it. He made 3 propositions, which propositions are central to the Samvad. He said, there cannot be peace between nations unless there are peace between religions. This is the first important thing. You all keep saying all religions are peaceful, all religions are peaceful. But Hans Kunz says, unless there are peace between religions, there cannot be peace between nations. Which means unless there are peace between gods, that's what it means ultimately. Your God is superior or my God is superior is what each religion is fighting for. Swami Vivekananda said, let us have a boxing match to decide which God is right, appears to be the logic. So, whether religions have to live in peace, then only nations will live in peace. This is the first proposition of Hans Kunz. The second proposition is, religions will never have peace unless they have dialogue. The religions do not have dialogue. They praise each other. You are a good religion. That fellow says, you are a good religion. Then why there is battle? Why there is clash? If all religions are good, as all of us are saying, then we should all be in peace. We are not in peace. The religions are fighting, gods are fighting. Which means that as we say all religions are correct is not the case. There is some problem somewhere. So there has to be dialogue as to what is the problem. The Muslim must ask the Hindus, please tell us what is your problem with us. The Hindu should ask the Muslim, please Muslim, tell me what is your problem with me. This is dialogue. And a dialogue is incomplete without investigating the fundamentals of a religion. If fundamentally a religion says, I am the true religion, all other religions are false, then there will be conflict. And this point is not being debated or dialogued. So, the religions which say, I am the true religion, all other religions are false, is fundamental to creating conflicts. So, this can be handled only through dialogue. That is why Samvad has started this process. It's a difficult process. That is why we focus not on politicians, not on intellectuals, not on academics, not on media personalities. We focused on the religious and spiritual people because they are more likely to tell the truth than others. I don't expect politicians to speak the truth because they have to win the next elections. I don't expect the academicians to tell the truth because they are getting funds from somewhere. It is only the religious and spiritual people who are likely to tell the truth because you have given up everything for the cause of truth. So please talk about it. This is our plea. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have been discussing religious dialogue from yesterday to today. I think we need to be very clear about what we are trying to achieve.
So thank you very much for somebody asking this question. In religious dialogue, even I tried to articulate this yesterday. We seem to be thinking that ultimately religions have to meet at some transcendental point. So I heard yesterday someone articulating this idea, which was not really a new one, which comes in even in the Vedas, Ekam Hisat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. The truth is one, different traditions say it in different languages. But I think this question goes beyond that. It's not that simply that you are okay, I am okay, or that type of philosophy. I think the problem here is this. Initial thing is we need to accept that religions are different from each other. And different religions are meant to achieve certain things. So whether something is true or not is a very tricky thing. Whether some kind of religion is capable of delivering what is that religion is expecting to deliver, I think that must be the criterion. Now, for example, if we take Buddhism, Buddhism would not say whether Buddhism is true or not, it's not that. What the Buddha said was, if someone wants to attain nirvana, realize nirvana, this is the path. Of course, that would not deny the path to go to heaven and things like that. But simply what the Buddha said is, if you want to attain nirvana, this is the path. So that doesn't mean that whether other religions are right or wrong. Of course, if there are certain other things right or wrong. For example, if you believe that you are, there is a creator, God in the universe, and that God can save you, Buddhism says that no, that is not unrealistic. Buddhism says you have to save yourself. Now, Buddhism is very clear about this. Sometimes people seem to think that a Buddhist saying that, okay, there is no God according to our understanding, is an insult or some kind of bad thing to say about to other religion. There is nothing like that. If you don't believe in God, say that very clearly. You don't believe in a God. There is no God. But it is not an insult to any other religion. This is what you believe, right? So, understanding is this. Now what has happened today is we seem to be misguided by this whole idea of, the mistaken religious dialogue. We seem to be thinking that I am different from others. You can't say that. To say that is to not, to do some insult to somebody. I will again give you a local example from Sri Lanka. We had in 1960s and 70s. We always had all the religions in our country. When a new government is formed, it was always usual for the Buddhist Prime Minister to go to the Buddhist temple, and the Christian ministers go to Christian church, Islamic ministers go to Islam religious place, and the Hindu Tamil politicians to go to Kovil and so on. So, there is absolutely no problem. Buddhists go to like that, and then after their religious observations, they get together again in the parliament. But then, lo and behold, after 2 decades or something, they start some tradition. Whole entire group goes to the Buddhist temple, entire groups go to the church, entire groups go to the Kovil, and to me, I thought it is hypocrisy. Because if you believe in one religion, you can't go and kneel down in all the religions. It is one thing to respect all the religions. It is another thing to believe in one religion and practice it. But if you are not serious about any religion, you can just go to any religious place and bow down and do these kind of things and try to be popular among your multi-religious electorate. That is what is happening today. So I think we need to take this very clearly. It is one thing for you to follow your religion. It is another thing to respect other religions. Now, when we are talking about the conflict among religions, we are not talking about really what we are talking is conflict among the organizational and the personal interest. So organizations are, getting clashed with each other. People are getting clashes with each other. That doesn't mean that really the religious philosophies are in clash. So it is the problem with us, and we need. So therefore, what I think is we need to be able to accept that truth can be one thing, or what delivers good can be one thing, but all the other systems must be able to exist in the world. I mean, that right we have to give to everybody. Whether you believe any particular religion is right or wrong is a different matter, but whether it is right or wrong, that religious system, so long as, of course, it doesn't bump off people or kill people, I mean, to my understanding, you must let that religious system exist and for people to follow it. So we can't interfere with that. We have to respect the people's right to exist, any religion. So if we can make this distinction, and if we can respect that, I think that is great. The professor is right, because we get this idea of religious dialogue recently from this Western Swedish religious philosopher. But we have, on the other hand, many stories in the Buddhist discourses. If sometimes Buddha finds it is too early for alms round in the daytime, then he would walk into some other religious place and have a discussion with them. I mean, the Buddhist discourses are replete with that kind of incident. So religious dialogue, I mean, as we understand dialogue today, is something new. But of course, if you understand religious dialogue, to talk to religious people and coexist with them and try to understand each other, it is not something that started after Second Vatican in the 1960s. It has been in the traditions for a long time. And not only in ancient India, it existed in England. There are, in the 10th century, there are many debates between Christians and Islamic people, Jewish philosophers. And they have debated very peacefully and very understanding manner. So these things have been there among the religions, but they were very clear about their religion, and they were also very clear about other religions. I think today there is a fundamental confusion among us. This is the problem. So when we talk about religious dialogue, I mean, it is not that we are talking about some kind of Archimedean point where all religions can meet at some kind of transcendental God or transcendental principle. In my own writings, I have shown that at least in the Theravada Buddhism, there is no such transcendental being or transcendental point. So I think we cannot debate this matter in this audience because we don't have time. But I think, therefore, when we talk about interfaith dialogue, for me, it is that we have to find ways and means to live together, work together, letting other people to live and follow in their own religions. I think if we can achieve that end, I think that should be the goal of religious dialogue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. We have assembled here to work out a formula as to how to avoid conflicts. And the speaker prior to me, I just didn't get his name, he did mention to a Vedic saying that there are different ways of reaching God. And each way, each path is as good as the other. Now, if we could agree, when I say we, that includes the Christians, that includes Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, in fact all traditions, to say that all paths, all traditions are equally genuine, respectable, and you can reach God through them. If we could agree on that, much of the problem will be over. The problem arises when I start asserting that my God is superior to yours. And I go a step further and say, my God is the only genuine God, and every other God is wrong, is false. Then I go a step further and say, talking about any other God is blasphemy, and blasphemy is punishable with death. And therefore, there are people who take it very seriously. They think their God is the only true God, and they have a divine responsibility to ensure that either they convert the non-believers or they kill them. And if in the process of killing them you get yourself killed, that is your divine duty, and you will be rewarded suitably. Now, this has been happening for the last 800 years. We have lived with this sort of an ugly reality for 800 years in India, and now it is happening in various parts of the world every second day. And then we have Islamic scholars. There was a scholar yesterday who articulated that Islam doesn't stand for all this. This is a wrong interpretation of Islam. Islam allows everybody to follow his or her own path. I'm more than willing to accept his explanation. I am. Because I'm not an Islamic scholar, and he is an Islamic scholar. He is a well-meaning person, honorable person, and if he says something after studying, I'm more than happy to believe him. Maybe everybody in this hall believes him. But question is, do other Muslims believe him? Does the Islamic world, which is in action, do they believe him? And to illustrate this point, what sort of implication this sort of a stand has for people like me and you is illustrated by a joke. To bring a joke in a serious discussion like this, but it illustrates a point. What are the implications for somebody like me who is a non-Muslim and who doesn't understand Islam? And when he is being told by an Islamic scholar that this is the real face of Islam. Two young college boys, they were going to the zoo, and one of them persuaded his father to buy him a very expensive camera. So they went to the zoo, and this friend with a new camera, expensive one, was trying to photograph the lion from very close quarters. In the confusion, the camera fell inside the fence. Now this fellow's leg was hurt. So he told his friend, he requested his friend, Baba, you please jump across the fence, get the camera, because my leg is hurt. And you know, the camera is very expensive. If my father gets to know that I have lost it, he is going to kill me. He said, what are you talking for your camera? I jump into the fence in the lion's enclosure, and he's surely going to eat me. He's not going to leave me. It is so close to him. And now this fellow who has lost the camera, he says, what is this here? You didn't read the newspaper 3 days back. What is it? The newspaper said that the lions don't attack till they are not attacked. And you are not going to attack the lion, you are just going to pick up your camera. Now this friend said, you have read the newspaper, but how do I know the lion has also read the newspaper? So all the people who are trying to make bombs, who are trying to do all sorts of conspiracies, who are willing to blow themselves up, who are creating havoc in Kashmir, people who are setting up IS, have they read that version of Islam which we were told yesterday? Thank you very much, sir.
Jai Shri Gurudev. We have come to an end of interaction session. As by 3, dais should be ready for the concluding ceremony. So this is the right time for us to conclude this session. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedaihi Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Na Viduhu Sura Asuraganaihi Devaya Tasmai Namaha. This is the concept which we have accepted and practiced since time immemorial. As a Hindu, the person is going to worship the energy or the God in those many forms like Brahma, Vishnu, Yama, so on and so forth. Yesterday you have mentioned 33 crores gods, even when there was no so much of population in our country. Second stage, there are so many people within our own country who have been worshipping all these gods, deities, in these many forms. There is no confliction. According to his desire, according to his practice, according to his trust and belief, when it is being practiced, no one is going to question. And secondly, there are some people within the religion, those who have not been worshipping all these deities, rather they have been practicing through religious scriptures, even without going to the mandirs and the temples. Still, the thing what actually they have been trying to find, in essence, in worshipping those deities through idols, same essence they are going to find through the scriptures also. Third one, Yasyantam Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogina. Third kind of people are they, followers are they, spiritual seekers are they. Neither they are going to worship the God in the temple, nor they are going to go through the scriptures like Veda, Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, something like that. But they are going to sit in seclusion, in pure contemplation, meditating upon the same energy or the same essence which they are going to find through the idols, the same essence or the energy which they are going to find through the scriptures, and same essence they are going to find and feel and experience through the contemplation. Still, even after having done all these, Yasyantam na viduhu sura asuraganaihi devaya tasmai namaha. I have been worshipping, I have been contemplating, I have been going through the scripture, the one whom cannot be seen through all these. Yasya antam na viduhu. Today we have been living in the quantum world. God particle has come into existence, century-old gravitational theory, gravitational waves has been realized. Century ago, Albert Einstein, it is not a religious fact, rather it was a scientific truth. Though he had invented, though science had evolved to that extent, it took at least 100 years to say that yes, there is a gravitational wave. We all have been heading towards one ultimate being, the essence. That is what he has mentioned. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti. Since time immemorial, the mankind has been striving quite hard to understand that real essence, which is nothing but my own reality, my own essence. In understanding my own reality, we have been searching. A day will come when, on understanding, all the arguments, all the conflicts are going to be subsided, are going to be slapped, are going to be vanished. Today, we are here to understand each other. It is not to appreciate, rather it is not to diminish or to look down upon anyone's philosophy. Albert Einstein has mentioned, I know time is up, From its deepest existence, nature manifests herself through physical, beautiful mathematical formulas, physical laws, and enchanting biological creation which conveys its hidden symmetry. Some way that unmanifested energy, or if you would like to say it as a if you would like to call it as a science, consciousness or an energy, that is manifested through these many forms. Other day guy came, asked me, the student of science asked me, Swamiji, is it true the spirituality will start moment your science ends? I said, what's your opinion regarding science and the mathematics? Are you in a condition to accept science and mathematics one and the same? He said, no, how can it be possible? We have been taught science as a science, mathematics as a mathematics. Then I said, at least, as such, you have to accept, if at all, if there are any other postulates, I am ready to understand and agree with that. As long as you are going to think that science is different from the mathematics, you have to think, when your science ends, mathematics will come into existence to make us to understand the theory. Where your mathematics ends, at least to now, spirituality is going to start it. Way back in 17th century, when Sir Isaac Newton made out the gravitational theory in the force, he worked hard, quite hard, to make the people of the world to understand. Because he didn't have any tools to make people to understand. He worked quite hard. He came out with the calculus, differential calculus and integral calculus. Through that, it made us to understand what exactly the innovated gravitational theory and such. World has been evolving. We all have been moving towards that to understand. Science and the spirituality, I don't think they are two different entities. They are the manifestation in different level, in different facets. So with the religions, though we have been calling with the different names, we all have been moving towards the same truth. But at the ritualistic level, it looks as if there is so much of a difference. Even at the philosophical level, it looks as if there are so many differences. Once Dr. Abdul Kalam, when I had been to President of Rashtrapati Bhavan, he asked me, Swamiji, this is the time where we have to spiritualize all the religion. I asked him, what is the difference between the religion and the spiritual, and why we should spiritualize all the religions? There is a misconception, there is a difference between person to person and the religion to religion. There is a principle and the ritualistic part. We should not touch the ritualistic part of all the religions, accepting we have to let those people to follow their rituals. At the same time, we have to make each and every being to understand the principal part of their religion. Unfortunate thing is that, saying that I am Hindu, knowing not anything, the essence of my religion, still I claim that I am Hindu, as long as is not going to disturb the society, so long is okay. But the person who doesn't know anything, knowing not anything about his own religion, if he starts harming other religions, then you have to come in the way. You have to teach him a lesson. So no religion, according to me, in essence, who understood, who realized after the sadhana, is not going to misunderstand, is not going to create any turmoil and unrest in the society. Today, on these lines, we all have discussed, not only here, one more session has been going on. Here we have discussed about the environmental consciousness, conflict at the physical level, at the mental level, at the intellectual level. Indriyani paranyahu indriyabeha paramanha manasastu paraya buddhihi yo buddhihi parasatu sav. This kind of realization will find difference at different level of the understanding. As it is said, one side it is sense objects, senses, mind, intellect, and beyond that. The one which is beyond that, which cannot be seen through the sensory organs, which cannot be understood by our mental level, which cannot be analyzed through our intellectual level, something is there without which nothing could have been in existence. So we all have been moving towards to understand out of which we have come, without which we could not have been lived in this society, in this world. Lot of deliberations, good thoughts, good reflections have come out through this session. I appreciate and I congratulate and I greet all the speakers who have come forward to express their views with open mind, ultimately we have to work towards establishing the peace. That guy asked, a monk asked, there are so many illiterate people, because according to their understanding, only uneducated people can create the turmoil in the society. Uneducated, not only uneducated, illiterate people, even after having been educated, one who will not understand, in a sense, they are the more dangerous people who can create the turmoil and unrest in the society. We have to create, we have to give right education for them to understand. What, according to us, maybe it is a study of the religious scriptures or the science education and mathematics education, until and unless we get the essence out of which, so long we cannot call such a person as educated person. There is a smallest definition in our system, Savidya Yavimuktaye. The smallest definition which is given to the knowledge and the wisdom. Education is that which gives ultimate emancipation from all ignorance, from all suppression. It is that which is going to give ultimate mukti, that is a realization. With these words, greeting all, congratulating all the religious seeds who have come from different parts of our country, I conclude my words. Jai Shri Gurudev.
Thank you, Swamiji. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take a very short tea break. As you know, the valedictory session will begin at 3 o'clock. So we request you to quickly have your tea and take your seats at least 5 minutes before 3 o'clock. Thank you very much.